started a group working with Christian Muslim groups, and this we have very successfully done for the last 3-4 years, in which we try to understand each other, we try to create good relations among the communities, and we sit together, and every 2 months we have this exercise. There are some very important people who are involved in this. One of them couldn't be here tonight, Dr. Toby Howard, who is the advisor to the Bishop of Birmingham. He's not well, so he sent his apologies. The other person, Mr. John Johnson, is the great anchor for this group. He always invites us as well, and when we invite him, he comes with his friends as well. So last few years, we've been talking on the commonalities of Islam and Christianity, that how much there is common between the two religions, and why we are so much apart. Why can't we work together? Why we can't live in a friendship way, in a good, harmonious way in that respect? And I'm very pleased that for the last few years it's been working very well in that respect. So tonight's meeting, we have not actually advertised on the public level, because we are very grateful to our sister, Yvonne Ridley, as you all know her through her work, that with her high profile, if we would have advertised, it would have been big turnover, big meeting. But we actually wanted her to come and speak to us and show us the way forward, that how we can work together with the communities. Of course, she has her own story probably to tell, and also since she has been working internationally in that respect, so she has the wealth of experience in that respect about the communities, that how various communities are living in that respect. I was behind this group and in that respect. So,
invisible. You don't even warrant a second glance or a first glance. Nobody takes any notice of you. In fact, I was across on someone's travel documents, and we went through, got into a taxi, and we went to the first major city, which was Jalalabad. And I was quite excited as we stepped out into a marketplace, because, you know, I was in Taliban country, and we'd heard so much from Tony Blair and George Bush about how brutal and evil the Taliban were. So I was looking round from behind the veil to watch what was happening in this society, which was said to be dominated by these men who didn't let women out of the house, and so when I got into the marketplace, I was delighted in many ways to see that all the shopping was being done by the men. And I thought, well, actually, this is quite liberating. You know, back home, it's very difficult to get men to go out and do the shopping. But of course, under the Taliban, unless you were related to a trader, it was very difficult to do business with a man who would be regarded as a stranger. So unless you were related, you know, by marriage or blood, it was almost impossible to buy a bag of sugar, and that's why the men were doing all the shopping. I still think it's a great idea, it just needs finely tuning in places. So I sat on the edge of the marketplace while the men did the shopping, and they returned, and we went off to the village of one of my guides where he was born, and when they saw him coming, there was great jubilation, you know, the returning of one of their own, and furthermore he was armed with lots of food and produce in a country where there's been conflict and famine and drought for so many years. Food really is regarded as God-given. And so all the joy and the jubilation, and then obviously somebody said, I don't know, I didn't speak the language, you know, who is the woman in the burqa? And one of my guides said, well, she's a Western...
So sorry. Somebody is called Silver Yaris, Y351 NLG, is blocking something that's very serious outside. Please. Sorry.
And so they were horrified. How on earth could they bring a Westerner and a journalist at that into their midst? Only that morning, the Taliban spiritual leader, Mullah Omar, had declared that anyone helping a Westerner in this time of war would be executed. So you can imagine how they felt having me in their midst. But there's something wonderful about the Afghan people. They have two qualities. One is they have an amazing curiosity, and another is an amazing hospitality. And within half an hour, they gathered round to talk to me. The first person who broke the silence and talked to me through my guide was a young girl in her 20s. And she said to me that she was very frustrated being in this village because she had been studying to be a doctor but had been sent home by the Taliban. And I said, yes, I heard that the Taliban did not want women to be educated. And then her brother said, no, I was also training to be a doctor and I was also sent home. The medical training school had no money and it closed down, and that's why we're here. And we're both frustrated because we should be in hospitals now, qualified and ready to help save our people from this impending war. And I could really see their frustrations, and as I was continuing my conversation, a very larger-than-life lady walked in, and she looked me up and down very slowly. Then she put her hands on her hips and her toes started tapping. It's an international language that you know there's trouble ahead. And she interrupted and she said, do you have any children? And through the guide I said, yes, I have one child, a girl. She said, only one. She said, you English and American women, she said, you are all so pathetic. All you can ever manage is one, maybe two. Me, she said, I can have 15. And when you run out of your boy soldiers, I will be producing more. And I thought, my goodness, we thought that the Afghan women were these quiet, timid creatures that hid under the burqa. This woman was really quite scary, and I said to her, well, I apologise for just having this one daughter. And I then said, but aren't you afraid of when the Americans come? And she said, dare one American come into my village, and I myself will fight him off with those pots and pans over there. And I thought, well, she probably would as well. And then she said, but we're very sorry for what happened to America. We're very sorry about this mishap. And she kept talking about this little accident, this mishap. And I stopped my guide and I said, what is she referring to? What are you, is this the correct translation? And they were referring to 9/11. And I thought at first that they were being offensive. And then I realized that under the Taliban, there was no television, certainly, not in the country areas. And so all the shocking images we'd seen of the planes crashing into the towers, people throwing themselves off the 101st floor rather than face the inferno inside, the towers imploding, all of these images we saw day in, day out, every hour on the hour, over those horrible weeks after 9/11, the Afghan people didn't see. They had no idea of the horrific nature of 9/11. They just heard that some buildings had been hit and some people had